That's a great question, because it really goes to the heart of what the whole field, how the whole field came about. So mBraining is really based on the notion that neuroscience over the last decade or so has uncovered that we actually have complex adaptive neural networks, functional neural networks in our heart and gut regions that the scientists who work in those areas are saying have all the components and functions of a brain. You could say that there actually is a heart brain and a gut brain, and that is technically correct. That's fantastic, we've got these brains, but what do they do? And as modern neuroscience is now validating ancient wisdom, we know that these two different brains that go with our head brain work with them to do different things. Three brains have, or these multiple brains, because at the moment neuroscience has said that there are three brains, but it would be hubristic to think that perhaps, given the ancient wisdom traditions often say that there are intelligences in other areas of the body other than just heart and gut and head, that there may be multiple brains. So mBraining comes out of the idea of the brain is a verb. Brains think, change themselves because of neuroplasticity, and we have multiple brains, and the way the multiple brains work together is about how humans really function across all of the different domains that humans are in. And mBraining itself is a field about how do you align and coach the multiple brains to bring the human spirit alive. mBraining really takes the insights from ancient wisdom traditions, marries it up with the neuroscience, and uses a field called behavioural modelling, which came out of neuro-linguistic programming, or it was the methodology that was used to create NLP by the originators. And it uses all of that together to be able to determine the competencies involved in how we as humans do ourselves. That we're not human beings, as Umberto Maturana, one of the key systems theorists in the world, says we're human becomings. So it's all about how do you tap into who you truly want to become, and how do you live that in ways that are meaningful to you at a heart level, at a gut level. The majority of wisdom traditions, there are anthropological studies that show that the majority of wisdom traditions say that humans have three souls, which I think is an ancient way of trying to express that we have three different areas of intelligence, and that they all speak to the importance of the heart and its links to the head and gut, and how you can truly start to live a wise life when you bring these three souls into what in MBIT we call their highest expressions. Yeah, so these three C's that actually I first learnt about them from the ancient Bon Po, the Bon religion that predates Buddhism. It's up to 14,000 years old, and they said that these highest expressions, or these three competencies, were what truly were required for wisdom to live a wise life. So compassion at the heart, it's the highest expression of the heart. It's the most adaptive way in which the heart can operate to bring the human spirit. When you see someone really living in a way that you go, wow, that's the highest expression of a human, you will see that they're living from compassion. Compassion's about your connection with others, the realization, and not just a head-based realization, but that heart feeling that we're all connected, and that you want to alleviate suffering or add value to someone else's life, and you're willing to take action. Now, these three, compassion, creativity and courage, they're integrative. They actually require each other. To do wise compassion, you need creativity. You can't just keep repeating behaviours that maybe will end up leading to codependency. You've helped somebody but you really haven't helped them wisely at all. So creativity is about, it's that human process of being able to create something that's never existed on the planet before, to innovate, to do something different, to explore, and through curiosity find different ways of being in the world. And courage, of course, is that gutsy courage to take action. And courage, as we know from the etymology of courage, comes from the French encoeur, of the heart, which is an expression of the fact that in order to take gutsy action, you have to have a call in your heart to be willing to step up, to take that action. So again, it's an expression of how these three C's all integrate together, and they're to be truly the highest expression of the human spirit. You need head, heart and gut aligned and coming from compassion, creativity and courage. Yeah, well, what's changed is the neuroscience validates this, that the fact that these previously, if you say you studied Tibetan Bonpo or Buddhism or Taoism and the Dantians, these three centers, it was kind of metaphor. A Western person would say they're metaphors of the heart expressing emotions, metaphor of the guts expressing something like gutsy courage. But as it turns out, and the neuroscience validates, we've actually got these brains, these functional adaptive complex neural networks. So these areas of the body are doing important processes with intelligence. They have their own domains of expertise. So what's changed now is we bring the specificity of neuroscience, and that allows us to begin to create techniques, specific tools and techniques that you can teach people in leadership, in coaching. So it brings a real power to what would previously have been mysticism. For a start, as you know, the first thing I want to do is denormalise leadership to the process of leading. We don't have a thing called leadership. It's a process of leading. And every human is leading both their own lives, it's the life you lead, and those around them that resonate with them. So the notion of resonant leadership, of which is a lot of research. But it's the how of doing that in a way that can profoundly transform the way humans organise together. We don't have organisations, there are humans organising together to do certain jobs and roles, and etc. So the way humans are organising at the moment is around effectively a sociopathic. The corporation is a sociopath. It's around something that's inherently selfish and self-focused purely on monetary terms. And people pay lip service to triple bottom line, but triple bottom line is representative of the highest expression of humans. If you truly come from an expression of compassion, and that your vision and mission on earth is to do something that adds value, not just to your own life, but to the lives of those you're connected with and to all sentient beings, that is compassion for the world. And then you bring your creativity in subservience of compassion, and not creativity as innovation that's a selfish-based thing, which is where most creativity and innovation currently exists in organisations. It's to increase profitability and bottom line, but that is at the cost. A man with a vision is a dangerous animal. And we've got a lot of unecological visions, and we're driving ourselves into the future in a way that is destroying the planet, destroying social, it's causing social fragmentation, families are being destroyed. All the challenges of the 21st century life, stress and unwellness in organisations and therefore in people's lives. So what I believe MBIT can do is, because with a scientific basis, we literally can ensure that we've got head-brain convincer of the importance of these highest expressions of compassion, creativity and courage, and sequence counts. And MBIT shows the science of why sequence counts. So we directionalise these three incredible intelligences in a way that brings the human spirit alive, so that organisings of people working together make a difference, not only for the bottom line, but for true happiness, wellness and wisdom in organisations and in everyone's life. And it's doable, it's scientifically valid, and we have very simple yet profound techniques for achieving that. My vision for mBraining, and it's spelled out in chapter 9 of the book mBraining, is that given that each of these brains, we know they're scientifically documented, they're there. We know that they exhibit, and the neuroscience has proven this, that they have neuroplasticity. So, given the world and the way the world is going, with 7.2 billion on the way to 11 billion humans, living lives that appear to be getting, in some ways, and the world is getting more wonderful in a lot of ways, but it's also getting more toxic in a lot of ways, in how humans work and the decisions they make. And the levels of consciousness that humans are coming from, which is generated by the nature of the neural networks of these three brains and how they work. So consciousness emerges out of how we do our mBraining, how we connect our three brains together. And now we have a technology and a methodology that is quite simple and profound, that we can teach people, that allows, with neuroplasticity, for them to tap into the highest expression of themselves and entrain others, because what we find is, and the research proves this, is where you're coming from is resonant and resonates into others. You actually literally entrain others. So my vision for MBIT is to change the actual brain structures of every human on the planet to be more compassionate, creative and courageous, to bring the highest expression of the human spirit in a scientifically valid way that is provable and teachable and can literally resonate across the planet. As the Dalai Lama says, if we taught every 7-year-old or 8-year-old child to meditate, in one generation we could end war. So if we teach every child, every adult, every human on the planet to lead with wiser decision, bringing out the human spirit, we know neuroplasticity will change the structures of those brains and the world will change. We can now live in a wiser world. And that will be something that will echo down through the future. And all it takes is each of us changing, and that will train the people we know, will train the people we know. So that's my vision. It's to change the level of consciousness of every human on the planet.